Planet Reddit. Today's story is...
My husband missed our son's birthday to meet his mistress, and when his father found out, he made $1 million decision that destroyed him. 2 days ago, we celebrated my son's 5th birthday. His father, Alex, decided not to attend, giving notice at the last minute. He called me just an hour before the guests were due to arrive, saying that he had a meeting with an important client that he couldn't miss, so we would have to celebrate the party without him. I tried to reason with him, but he made it clear that there was no time to discuss it, leaving me with no options. My son Carson was very sad that his dad wouldn't be there, but he seemed to cheer up when his friends started to arrive. I decided I would talk to Alex when he got home and focused on the party. Everything was going well until I accidentally cut myself and went to get a Band-Aid. I went to Alex's office because that's where we kept the first aid kit. While I was there, I noticed that there was a notification of a new voicemail on his phone screen. It was from Leanne, who we could call Alex's work wife. They have been best friends since childhood, and she is also the director of a charity in his company. Leanne and I are even quite good friends. I decided to listen to the message, and what I heard left me completely surprised. Leanne explained that she knew that Alex had said he would miss our son's birthday because of an important meeting with a client, but that it was all a lie. The supposed client was, in fact, his new secretary, and they were booking a hotel room. According to her, this affair had been going on for some time, and she had been trying to get Alex to end it. He had promised her several times that he would break up with the secretary, but he never did, and Leanne could no longer keep the secret because she felt too guilty. She confessed to me that she felt she owed me the truth because she knew I would do the same for her if I knew something about her husband, and she was right. I would definitely tell her. She finally decided to tell me because she had personally seen the secretary get into Alex's car in the parking lot. When she confronted Alex, he begged her not to say anything, promising that he would end it with her, but that he wanted to take her out one last time to treat her well before giving her the news. However, Leanne knew from experience that this had happened so many times that he was not going to end the relationship. He would just continue to see her. That's why she felt she had to inform me so that I could take the necessary measures. After listening to the message, I called my father-in-law, who was present at the party. I took him to the office and played it all again. I immediately told him that I was going to file for divorce and that he could do whatever he thought was appropriate. I decided to tell him first, because I know he is a man of principle. He was a federal judge before he retired, and now it was up to him what he wanted to do about his son. Obviously, I was speaking from emotion. I knew there wasn't much I could do, because after all, we were talking about a grown man. During the party, I kept calm, but afterwards I started to pack some things and left home with my son. I haven't returned since. Alex arrived late that day, so I couldn't confront him personally, but late at night, when he called me asking what was going on, I told him everything. He said that Leanne was lying, but I know Leanne personally. She has always been a good friend, and I don't think she would make something like that up. I told him I didn't believe him, and he hung up without saying anything else. We didn't speak after that, and I started to consult with lawyers. My parents supported me, but 2 days ago, Alex called me again, saying that he needed to come back and fix things with him because the situation was getting worse. Apparently, after I left the house, his father gave him an ultimatum. Either he brought me back and sorted everything out, or he would be disinherited, and his entire inheritance would go to me and his grandson. We are talking about a considerable fortune, and although Alex earns good money, it doesn't compare to what he is assured as an inheritance. After talking to him, I realized that he was only trying to reconcile because he was afraid of losing all that money. So I hung up on him, called my father-in-law, and told him that I wasn't going to return so he could start preparing to leave the inheritance to me and my son. Now everything is extremely complicated. My parents think this is wrong and want me to retract it because they consider that I have no right to their father's inheritance under any circumstances, and that accepting this kind of arrangement would make me a gold digger. I don't share their opinion. So am I the idiot for telling my father-in-law that I'm not going to get back with his son and that he might as well leave the inheritance to me and his grandson? Update 1. First of all, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment on my post. It means a lot to me, especially now that I'm going through so much hardship. I have several points to clarify, so I will start with Leanne. Many thought it was questionable to blindly trust her, especially when she herself admitted to having kept this secret for Alex for a while. I completely understand why most would not trust her, but at the end of the day, she has known Alex much longer than I have. They have been friends since they were children, so naturally it must have been very difficult for her to accept that Alex turned out to be unfaithful. If I had been in her place, I would probably also have hesitated about whether to tell his wife, but in the end I would have made the right decision, as she did. I guess I have her to thank because, after all, if she hadn't told me, no one else would have. I also spoke to her personally because I really needed to know if she had any proof. I've been with this man for 8 years, we've been married for 6, and we have a 5-year-old son. I didn't want to throw everything away because of a simple doubt or suspicion. I needed to be completely sure that he was cheating on me, because otherwise I would look like the fool. She told me that she anticipated that I would ask her for proof, so she had been gathering evidence for months. She sent me several screenshots where she asked Alex to stop seeing the secretary, and he kept promising that he would end it with her. There were at least 6 or 7 screenshots, and it was clear that he wasn't denying anything. The fact that he said he would break up with her was practically a confession to me. He also showed me between 10 and 12 photos of them together. Some were in Alex's car, others in his office and at work events. They were all somewhat blurred and clearly taken in secret from behind objects and walls, but they existed. In all these photos, it was clear that they did not interact as mere co-workers. They were smiling, laughing, chatting, and in each photo she clung to him as if not wanting to let go, while he seemed to enjoy it. In fact, he looked happy to be with her. Leanne even showed me a video to convince me even more. It was filmed in the parking lot, with both of them sitting in Alex's car, laughing at something. He brushed her hair back behind her ears, a gesture he only did with me, and then they shared a brief kiss on the lips. That was all I needed to see to confirm what I already knew. Leanne was telling the truth. This whole conversation happened in person. I invited her to lunch a few days ago, just after talking to my father-in-law, because I felt guilty for telling him that he should leave everything to me and my son. My parents were not supporting me at all. In fact, they were making me feel even guiltier, so I was confused. I needed to talk to Leanne and get concrete evidence. I couldn't just take her word for it, and I'm glad I did, because this will definitely help me in the divorce process. After our conversation, she tried to apologize, but I told her it would be better to keep our distance because, although she had told me the truth, it took too long to do so. I can't help thinking that if Alex had decided to end things with the secretary after the first few meetings, she probably wouldn't have said anything to me, believing that what I didn't know couldn't hurt me. At least, that's what I had thought until now, which is why she hadn't told me before. She seemed a bit annoyed that I didn't want to stay in touch, but she didn't insist. So yes, she was telling me the truth, and I didn't doubt it for a second. I had no reason to. As I said, although she has been friends with Alex since childhood, in recent years, we two have become very close. She has always been kind to me, so I know she wouldn't lie to me. That's why I trusted her and knew I wasn't wrong. That said, it only reinforced my confidence that I was doing the right thing with regard to Alex and his inheritance. My parents are still very unhappy. It's been a couple of days since I told my father-in-law that I would appreciate it if he would amend his will to leave everything to me and his grandson. Since then, my parents have become very distant with me because I didn't do what they expected, and I'm going to accept this. And why shouldn't I? I don't even understand why they think I should worry about being considered a gold digger. From my perspective, I'm just trying to secure my future and that of my son. Alex was the one who convinced me to leave my job to raise our son when he was born, and now that we're getting divorced, I'm sure he'll fight to avoid paying the alimony and child support I deserve. I know he will try to make the divorce happen on his terms, and, knowing how stingy he is, he will most likely try. He wouldn't even let me work and hire a nanny because it would be too expensive, even though I had a good job. So I'm going to take care of myself and make sure I get what I deserve, one way or another. Of course, I'm upset about all this, but I'll have time to be sad later. Right now, I only have room to be angry and let that drive me, because I really have no sympathy for anyone else. I've been with this man for so many years, I've given everything to our relationship and marriage, and he didn't consider any of that before having an affair with his secretary, who also happens to be quite a bit younger than him. We have a child together, we raised him for 5 years, and he couldn't even take that into account. He was selfish from start to finish, and now I don't understand why my parents think I shouldn't act the same way. Maybe in an ideal world I would be the most noble person, but right now, I'm not interested in being the best person. I'm only interested in getting the most benefit. I refuse to be treated like this and then walk away empty-handed. I know that, in practical terms, it will be impossible for him to make sure that I don't get what I deserve in the divorce. But I know he will try. However, he doesn't feel enough, and I believe I deserve the inheritance. It's okay if my parents don't think the same way, but they have no right to tell me what I deserve and what I don't. I'll leave that to my father-in-law, who so far has not responded, so I'm just trying to play my cards right. Update 2. Hi, I moved out of my parents' house yesterday with the help of some friends. Now I'm staying with a friend until all this is over, and then I'll look for a new apartment. Of course, I am splitting the rent with her, and I even offered to pay my parents for the days I stayed with them. Normally, I wouldn't have done it, but honestly, over the last few days they have been so cold and distant that I felt I had to. I didn't feel comfortable accepting their help, and I really felt like they were doing me a huge favor by letting me stay, even if they didn't agree with my decisions. At a time like this, I feel they should be supporting me rather than making me feel isolated, but far from supporting me, they have barely spoken to me since I had that conversation with my father-in-law, telling him that I would like to receive the inheritance intended for his son. Naturally, staying with them became very uncomfortable, and I felt I had to leave. Otherwise, I could have stayed there because they have been a great help with my son. Unfortunately, I don't want to stay where I'm not welcome, and they have made that very clear. My friend has been kind enough to take me in, although I have to pay rent and hire a babysitter because I will be very busy over the next few weeks. I filed for divorce earlier this week, and I guess she will be served in a few days. I haven't heard from anyone connected to him, not Alex, not Leanne, not even his father. At this point, I'm confused as to whether my father-in-law was really serious when he said he would leave everything to me and my son instead of Alex, or if it was just a threat to put pressure on him. Regardless, it won't change my decision to divorce him. I am completely determined. In my divorce petition, I have requested alimony and child support because it will take me time to find work. Although I have started sending out applications, it's not as if everyone is eager to hire someone who has been out of the job market for 5 years. I have no idea when I will find a job, and even then, I don't know if it will initially be enough to support me and my son. I think I'm being completely fair in asking for child support and alimony, although I'm willing to share custody. Personally, I think I've been reasonable in the request because I'm still hoping that my father-in-law can help us. But apart from that, I don't want to get caught up in a long legal battle if that doesn't happen. It's going to be very difficult to pay the lawyer because I'll have to use my savings. I can't ask anyone else for help. I would have turned to my parents, and they would have helped me without hesitation. But given the current situation, I guess it's clear why I don't want to. That's why I'm keeping things simple, at least legally, and I hope he doesn't contest or modify anything, because that would lead to more mediation, the last thing I want. I have yet to hear from Alex, so for now I'm hoping for the best. Update 3. Unfortunately, Alex decided to be as stingy as ever and did not accept the terms of my request. As I said, I was being completely fair. I was not asking for an exorbitant amount of alimony or child support, although I definitely could have. But he does not consider it fair, and so he has significantly modified and reduced the amounts to a level at which I could barely survive. I don't understand how he has the audacity to do something like this, especially after cheating on me, ruining our marriage, and not even having the decency to apologize. In our last conversation, he was just begging me to come back and fix things because he thought his father was going to give me his inheritance and our child. He wasn't even sorry for what he had done. He just wanted me back for that reason, nothing more. Despite how selfish he is, I tried not to make my request too complicated, and even so, he is incapable of appreciating it and continues to create more problems. Of course, I'm not going to give in. I'll use up all my savings if I have to, but I'll make sure I get what I deserve. Now I'm even considering applying for full custody of our son because, come to think of it, since we left, he hasn't even bothered to check up on him. I understand that he's been blocked, but if I were in his place, I would move heaven and earth to find out how my son is. I would use email, I would show up at my parents' house, I would do whatever it took. But I suppose I expect too much from a father who decided to miss his son's 5th birthday to be with his lover that very night. I have decided to talk to him in person, and I will unblock him tonight. I know it will be exhausting, so I will be as brief as possible. If he tries to argue, defend himself, or anything similar, I will hang up immediately, because I don't have the time or energy for that. I don't want to get involved with him, but I have to. I will try to talk to him in person to make him see reason, and if that doesn't work, we will turn to my lawyer and resolve it in the mediation sessions. Wish me luck. Update 4. I just finished making some phone calls a few minutes ago and was able to find out several things. When I unblocked him and started calling him, he didn't answer for the first few minutes, which I found strange for someone who had begged me to come back the last time we spoke, even though some time had passed. He finally answered after the 5th call, and he was very irritable, but I didn't let that stop me. I told him that what I had asked for in my divorce petition was fair enough, and I didn't understand why he was complicating things, especially when he knows he is wrong. He cheated on me. This is the least he can do for me and our son. I also reminded him that I had been considerate enough not to ask for full custody, although it would be justified, as he hadn't bothered to check on his son once since we left. He got angry with me, accusing me of using our son as a weapon and saying that I had no right to do so. I replied that, since I have always been more responsible for the child than he has as a father, I believe I have the right to do what I consider necessary at this time, because he is depriving both of us of what we deserve, and I am just making sure I get it. That part is true. I don't just want alimony and child support for my standard of living, but to ensure a better future for my son. Then he told me that it was surprising what kind of gold digger I had become, because apparently his father's inheritance was not enough, and I needed to extract as much money as possible from him too. That left me perplexed. I had no idea what he was talking about because I hadn't been in touch with my father-in-law. I told him that it was just a conversation we'd had and that I might have encouraged it, but it didn't mean that his father was actually going through with it. He laughed, hung up, and told me to talk to his father to find out what had happened, and that maybe then I would be fairer to him and accept his terms. After deliberating, I decided to call my father-in-law to find out exactly what was going on. He answered, and, without wasting time, I asked him directly about what Alex had mentioned. He confirmed it. He had changed the will, and Alex knew about it. That explained why he was so bitter and refused to accept alimony and child support, because he was already losing his inheritance to us. But I had no idea, because I had not kept in touch with my father-in-law. I asked him why I had not been informed, even though the change had already been made, and he told me that he simply did not know how to approach me because he was very affected by everything that had happened and he was waiting for me to contact him. Now that I had finally done so, he thought it appropriate to tell me that the change had been made. I was taken aback, not knowing what to say. He expressed to me how sorry he was for everything that had happened and that he was not currently in a position to talk to his son. But he wanted to keep in touch with his grandson, so he asked me to consider occasionally taking him to his house and allowing him to see him, regardless of my relationship with Alex. I assured him that he was welcome to see his grandson whenever he wanted. I would never stop him or Alex from doing so because I know that my son is very young and deserves to have everyone in his life. At the end of the day, regardless of my relationship with others, I know that everyone loves him, and I don't want to deprive him of that. Anyone who wants to see him is welcome to keep in touch. Of course, that includes my father-in-law, who seemed very pleased with my response. He tried to apologize for Alex, but I told him it wasn't necessary because that matter was between my future ex-husband and me. He didn't need to feel responsible. Then I put my son on the phone to his granddad. They had a nice chat, and my little boy seemed very happy. That was it. I don't know how I feel about all this, but I'm glad I was able to talk to him and find things out for myself. I honestly don't know what I'll do now. I still need time to think. Update 5. A couple of weeks have passed. I decided to give in on the divorce disagreement. I accepted the terms in Alex's petition because I spoke to his father, who told me that he would get me a job and, in the meantime, help us financially. as he considered it fair to support us given that his son had ruined things. I tried to tell him that it was okay, that I would go through mediation and handle it myself, but he warned me that it would only cost me more money because Alex wouldn't budge. He and his lawyer would do everything they could to prolong the process, and it would end up draining my savings. He was right, so I accepted his offer, and he is currently helping us financially. He has also spoken to several contacts, and I am considering job opportunities that I probably would not have had access to without his help. Having him on my side has been very beneficial, and I am really grateful for everything he has done for us. Although it was Alex who messed things up, it is his father who is fixing them for me and my son, and I cannot thank him enough for his kindness. As for my son, I have agreed to joint custody and he will see his father at weekends. As I have accepted all the terms of the divorce, it should be finalized in a couple of months. As for my parents, I'm not talking to them yet, but honestly, I don't care. Right now, I'm just focused on improving our future, and that's all that matters.